The next 10 years won't just be the Sonys and the Netflixes. It will actually be these creators who are their own studios. They have their own stories that they want to tell, their own IP, and they all need an operating system to be the next big thing. I did not think that I wanted to be a founder at all, but there was something that was probably gut that was just like, God, I feel like I could just give this to as many people as possible. We're now at an incredible moment that is changing how stories are told and how they're made, most importantly. My name is Fassa Sar. I'm the founder and CEO of Callo. My whole entire, I think, mission in life and passion is essentially to be able to help as many creators and producers as possible around the world tell the stories that they love.
Hell yeah.
I'm super excited for the conversation.
So the accolades, I'm going to have to read some of these. Okay, I had to make a list. Fulbright Scholar, you are the youngest creative executive in Sony's history, honored by Variety, Forbes, Essence, the list goes on. But beyond the resume, who are you and what is Callo?
I grew up in the Bay Area. Growing up, I was around technology. My mom was in tech. She led some of the coolest, tech companies and their marketing teams. I've been around consumer brands pretty much all my entire life. I was raised by a single mom, so what that meant was that I was with her in as many rooms as possible. And so I got to see, what it's in to lead a multi-billion-dollar company very early on. But I didn't want to do that. That wasn't me. I actually thought I wanted to be a congresswoman one day. I just wanted to be on the side of the people who are doing the most right, whatever that meant. So I started off my career actually being part of the district attorney's office in California, and then ultimately finding my way to the entertainment industry. And I'm
just going to stop you right there because I'm interested in that pivot. You were on the Hill, you were campaigning. So how did you end up from a potential career in politics to entertainment?
I think I looked up and I saw, I could make only so much difference in the political world. Being in DC was such an incredible experience, but ultimately I saw that I really could make much more change in the stories that people created.
It's almost art as soft power.
Completely. And so that's really how that pivot started. I recognized the nature of scale, I think specifically the stories that were being told and how they could reach not only just the inner cities of Los Angeles and, on the East Coast, but also be able to have international change. And so that's really what I think I most gravitated towards.
I want to talk about the seedlings of Callo and how that started at Sony. You were in the rooms where a lot of these deals were being made. You were talking with creators across industry and Hollywood. What were you trying to create that you felt didn't exist?
Such a great question. And I want to be very, very clear. I did not think that I wanted to be a founder at all. I left politics, right? And then I went into entertainment because I really wanted to be a part of it. If anything, I would have been very happy just staying in the studio system, but there was something that was probably gut that was just like, God, I feel like I could just give this to as many people as possible. What I found while I was in entertainment overall, not just Sony Pictures, there is a top 1% that operates, and that top 1% has all the resources, the connections, the capital, and the ability to move projects quickly. But for everyone else that does not operate at the top 1%, they are left to be on the fringes to try to figure out how to build projects, how to build companies ultimately, how to build their media businesses. That was quite unfair, and I didn't realize that going into it. I thought that the goal of a studio and the goal of any production company was actually to be able to get as many people in the system as possible, right? To help and to see the stories of as many people. And I just didn't find that. So what we do and what is Callo, we're an operating system for independent creators and producers to be able to build the story stories that they love. It is this foundational infrastructure that is there for them to be able to find creative collaborators, to be able to organize the work that they love with their team, and also to take their projects out to market. I hope I answered your question there.
Yeah, you did. The telepathy is telepathying because you're answering the questions before I even ask them.
What is good, Callo community?
Could you break it down for me? For someone who, let's say, first-time filmmaker, wants to find their team and logs on to Callo, where does Callo step in and help just lay out the entire pipeline from beginnings to executing?
So a creative, so that might be a director or writer, might come on to Callo and they might say, hey, I really want to find a collaborator that might help me produce this project. So they come onto the platform, they first create their profile, who they are, what they're about. They will be able to have a search query where they're able to just ask Callo, hey, I'm looking for a producer that focuses on romantic comedies. Callo will then search for incredible producers that fit that exact bill using AI to be able to find great patterns between two users or more, and then will suggest that to that user. So once that director, that producer, they meet, they love each other, they're ready to connect, then they actually come onto Callo and do the work together. That could mean having a canvas to collaborate together, notes to be able to integrate, tasks, payments, agreements. Then they actually can just sell this project to a distributor. Historically, finding a distributor has been very difficult. But now with Callo, actually, it's not necessarily based off of who you know, but the quality of the project. To kind of bring it all together is the idea that you too can run a studio. You have the features, you have the tools, you have a team to be able to do that.
So Callo is helping people find their creative soulmates one project at a time.
One project at a time.
AI could be kind of a dirty word, right? In creative industry, especially, it feels like both a revolution and a reckoning. On the one hand, it's lowering barriers for access, giving more people access to tools that maybe they didn't have before. But on the other hand, it's threatening the value of craft and labor. If technical skill and production are not the moats that they used to be, what's going to be the real differentiator now?
Glad that you asked this question, because that's something that we talk about all the time at Callo. Truly, the moat is how users are able to actually tell great stories and how they're able to monetize those great stories. Another aspect of it is how they're able to take a story and turn it into a scalable business. That's also the next moat. And so that's why I believe that Callo is truly the nucleus to what creators need, which is the business side of their creations. Now with AI, not only are we iterating so much faster, we're able to see and understand what our users want, what they're looking for based off of the data, and then be able to actually integrate it into our product. We do not use AI when it comes to them wanting to create storylines or plots or characters, but when it comes to how we are actually allowing them to be able to build new projects and really the business side of creating, that's where we get super excited. It's been really fascinating, pre-AI, post-AI, how we've built products for both times, and especially as a new founder like myself, how it's been able to scale our team.
You've said in previous interviews, building a company can be a really lonely process. And you started out with a pretty small team.
This is a question that I love, and I don't think we actually talk about enough, Fahima. Of course, being an entrepreneur is no easy feat. This should not be glamorized. It's not for the weak at all. You have to be able to, really have the confidence in yourself and the security in yourself and be mission oriented. That's the only way I think you can push through.
Yeah, and I love that you touched on that, because I feel like we're kind of in an era now where it's founder as a brand culture. You're seeing people build companies in real time, and it's almost entrepreneurship as performance.
As someone who is essentially a Gen Z founder, I'm building in a way that I think is probably unique to other individuals, other founders in my cohort. Typically, they are looking to build their companies out loud because they grew up in a digital first environment, and this is the only way to do it. And you would think, especially because Callo is in the creator economy, we should be doing that too. But I actually find that being able to tell stories of our members and not necessarily just being founder led, just building in public, is actually something very beneficial to us, because it's not about the product, it's not about our platform, it's not about our company, it's about our members.
Beautiful. You're a pro.
I try my best.